What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video, another day, another dollar with your boy Chris here on the Mike Easy. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, but let's get right into it. We're going to go over the MES today, or the ES, excuse me. I traded the MES. Kind of a wacky day. Didn't do exactly what we wanted to do. I mean, early on, it did exactly what we thought. Did okay. I felt like with my position today, I did not make any money. Did end up taking one trade and one loss. And we'll review that here in a second. But, we'll go over the 30-minute time frame, kind of break down the technicals, get into the little bit of the more nuanced things, a little bit more advanced. For those of you that enjoy this type of stuff, please leave a like down below. If not, then, maybe I can dumb it down and explain something in a different way. But we're going to go over our 30-minute time frame, and we're going to go through how I break it down from scratch, how I label things, and then we'll get into our larger time frames, look at our monthly, weekly, and daily time frames and see how those things are shaping up. And so far, pretty positive for the buyers so far. We do have to be wary and patient coming these next couple days, as we have now put ourselves back into a balance on our daily time frame. And I'll talk to you guys more about that here in just a second. So before we get into it, once again, leave a like down below, subscribe if you are new, and I'll be breaking this stuff down daily, every other day, maybe once a week. I don't know. As long as or as often as I can. My schedule has gotten quite jacked up recently. I've been working more hours at my actual job. So yeah. Let's get right into it. So we're going to go into our 30-minute time frame here. 30-minute time frame. Got our profile pulled up. And we're going to look at what has occurred. So as you can see, I have a bunch of different labels thrown on here. We have the low of day from Friday marked, right? From the 16th, we have the low of day marked. And then we have our afternoon pullback low and our single prints marked from the 15th. And as you can see, we opened up today below the previous low of day, because we do not include Monday as it was a holiday, short day, and it was just a very we include that as an overnight session, and I'll talk to you guys about that here in a second when we look at our 15-minute chart. But we opened up today with a gap below Friday's low and below the afternoon pullback low, single prints, where they start and where they filled, and you can see where we pushed up into that area and kind of backed off initially. Monday session pretty much just chopped around in there, didn't do a whole lot as it was a short electronic day. So we opened up today with a gap to the downside, so sellers automatically had things on their checklist. Now let's go ahead and talk about our checklist. The checklist is right, you want to see either you have the overnight high or the overnight low, right? Then you want to see if you are one time framing up or one time framing down. So for buyers, you want to see us one time frame up. For sellers, you want to see us one time frame down. And that just means we are taking out previous 30-minute time frame low or high, right? If we're taking out the high, then we are one time framing up. If we are taking out the low and setting lower lows, then we are one time framing down. Next on the list is you want to see where value's at. Does sellers have value? Is it in the same place as it was Friday, or is it lower, or is it higher for the buyers, right? For buyers, you want to see it continue to get higher. For sellers, you want to see it continue to get lower. And for today, it was lower. Then you want to see if we have single prints, whether they're up or down. So like on this day back on the 15th, they were up. And on this day today, initially, they were down. We had a set of single prints early in the morning to the downside. Then you want to see if we have the initial balance high or the initial balance low. That's the first two time frames, the first two 30-minute time frames, or the first hour high and low. Then you want to look for things like an afternoon or a lowest accepted price or a highest accepted price, and those are a little bit more rare. And today we did kind of have a little bit of a highest accepted price, and that's when A closes, B period opens up and drives straight down, or A closes and B period opens up and drives straight up, right? So for highest accepted price, that means sellers, sold heavily at that certain price. We didn't push up any higher and backed off really aggressively. For Lowest accepted price is the exact opposite, right? Buyers, as soon as A closed, buyers stepped in at a certain price, didn't push lower, and pushed up higher, right? So it is exactly how it looks. And then as the day goes on, you want to see how those things begin to change for one side to the other. And then you want to look for things like an afternoon rally high or an afternoon pullback low. And since today the market was shifting lower, we were looking for an afternoon rally high as sellers had a lot on the checklist in their favor. So right away, let's go ahead and look at our 15-minute chart. Now I have the whole overnight session marked here with overnight high and overnight low, right? I included all of Sunday, Monday, and then into this morning as one session. And so our overnight low was right here around 32. Our overnight high was right around 60, 75 was the overnight high. So as you can see, we got our overnight low right away. As soon as we opened up at 8:30, we took it out just by a little bit. And then later in that or in B period, when we decided to push straight down and create a trend day to the downside, is when we officially took out that overnight low with some type of regression. Now, automatically, value is already lower because we gapped lower below the previous day's low, but we had the overnight low in the books for sellers. Then you had value. Value is where this blue area is, right? This blue rectangle that you can kind of see here. You got that blue line up there, blue line there. Everything in between is value. So value was automatically lower because of the gap. So, oh, and I forgot to mention, you look to see if you have a gap on the checklist. You have a gap up or a gap down. Do you hold that gap? And today we had a gap down, held that. So automatically buyers or sellers had the overnight low, they had gap, and they had value right away. Okay. Next thing you want to look for is, do we take out the next time frame's low, right? So before I get any further, let me go ahead and label all of these time frames for you guys. Zoom in. Ooh, that was ugly. Zoom in here, and let's label all these time frames together. If you don't want to label these with me, then you can, skip ahead in the video. But that's A period. This is B period. Then you have C, D, then you have E period. So A through M are the 13 time frames. E, F, then you have G period, then H, then I, J, K, L, and M, the Three Stooges, Curly, Larry, and Moe. Typically the most volatile, but sometimes they do absolutely nothing, kind of like today. So there you have it. You have all of our time frames already labeled. So now what we're looking for is, all right, next thing on the checklist is, after A period closes, do we take out A's low or do we take out A's high and begin to one time frame up or one time frame down? And what did we do? We took out A's low and began to one time frame down. Now, as soon as A closed, we did push up a little bit, but we closed at 33.25. That was A's close at 33.25. And then B period opened up, pushed up to 34.75. So within a point, within 2 points, we usually give it a little bit of leeway. So within 2 points, and then we drove straight down and took out A's low. So we had highest accepted price initially. So sellers had a lot in their checklist already, right? They got the overnight low, they got gap, they got value. They now have a highest accepted price, and now they are one time framing down by taking out the first time frame's low. Then we create a set of single prints on this drive down, right? We push straight down and create a pretty decent sized set of single prints. I will highlight this area so you guys can see where they were initially. So we'll highlight right where B closed, which was right down here, and then C period opened up. Now we had a very large set from 31.25 to where B closed at 13 was a set of single prints. So trend day down was initially confirmed, But you see here where C period pushed down, B's low was 1075, C's low was 1050. So we only pushed down with 1 tick below B's low. So we technically did not take it out. We have a poor low. All right. So we have a poor low. We took it out only by a tick and then found some really aggressive buying to push us up and start taking back some of these single prints. So now this set of single prints start to get ate away at. Right. So all that structure begins to get filled in, and then we begin to take back some of the single prints. However, you can be shorting on pushes up, a little bit of ebb and flow type of trade, right? On pushes up where you're comfortable, you take the short, it comes in, you take it off for maybe 2 to 3 points. You don't want to stay married to it, but you could definitely take a position. Now, when D period opened up, you could take a position against C's high in the set of single prints, right? To rotate lower and potentially get the initial balance low. And remember, that is the first 2 time frames, high and low. C period didn't technically take it out because it was only by 1 tick. So we need 2 points or more for it to count. So not 2 points. We need 2 ticks or more to take it out and count. So we technically didn't take it out in C period. So you could have taken a short in D to roll over and potentially get that poor low and get the initial balance low, and then this other daily low down here at 0725. But as soon as we popped C's high, we got some stops that ran, and we began to push up a little bit more. Now, this is where things begin to get tricky. Do you want to short, or do you want to take the long play to potentially fill this set of single prints? Now, for me, I'm looking for the short on the pushes up, right? But as these sets of single prints get eaten away, the chances slowly, or the probability of holding slowly begins to dwindle. So we did have a good risk reward trade in E period against D's high in the set of single prints, as we did rotate in a few times between 24 and 20. So you could have captured a few points within there, but it was nothing but pretty much chop. So for me, what I was looking for was the short on the push up into the halfback and where the single prints filled. So keep in mind, single print is where I have it highlighted currently, if you're not including F period, right? So if we do not, if this thing would click for me, if we don't look at F period and just focus on, where am I at? Hello? Oh no, what did I do? Okay. So if you just focus on the right-hand side of my screen and you don't include F period, right? This is what the trading day looks like initially. So we're pushing up into that set of single prints that start at 24.75 and they fill at 31.25. So my idea is, all right, if we push up into this set of single prints, we get to halfback, which is this blue dash line. We push up into that at 29.75. I start a position there, a little small 5 lot on the MES. I add at 31.25, and then I put my stop 2 points above B's high at 34.75. Now, keep in mind, at the time, this is the highest accepted price. Sellers still have everything in their favor. However, we did stop the one-time framing in D period whenever we took out C's high. So we stopped setting lower lows and began to start a series of lower high and a series of higher high and higher low in D and in E period. So buyers started to kind of take things away a little bit, and they started to eat away at this set of single prints. So I had to be cautious on the push up, right? So I'm looking for an afternoon rally high on this push up. We begin to push up 29.75. I get filled in F period at 29.75. We begin to continue to push up. I get filled at the single print fill. So now single prints have completely filled. Let me get rid of this. Why is it not letting me click? Goodness gracious. So single prints have now filled. I'm long a 10 lot now of the MES at 31.25. And then I begin to add at 33 and around 34. So I get long 20 around that area. Now keep in mind, I now have an average of about 31.75, and my stop is at 36.75, 2 points above B's high. So I have my stop at 36.75 because if we get above that, I do not want to be a seller at that point. That is kind of where I draw the line. And then sure enough, G period pops and I get stopped out. Now, what I was looking for to happen is we get here and then we roll over and come back to C's high, which was around 20. So I was risking, 5-6 points to the upside, and my reward was roughly 10 points. And then on a true afternoon rally high, typically you come and visit the lows or set lower lows. So I was looking for anywhere between 10 to 20 points of reward, and I was risking 6 points to the upside as I was adding around 33 and 34, average of 31. But I got stopped out and that trade did not work. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work, and it just depends on how much you're willing to pay to learn the lesson of it working. And since we are in a balance on the daily, things like afternoon rally highs and afternoon pullback lows tend to be less reliable. But we continue to grind up into the high of day. We got our initial balance high by taking out A's high. So in H period, we pushed up and then, kind of rejected as buyers failed up here. And then we began to rotate back down to where I was initially short. Now, could you have taken a short against the gap, right? So let me get rid of all this other jazz here. So we have a gap between 42.50 and 51. So 42.50 and 51 is where the gap fills. So could you have taken a short on the push up against that gap? Yes, you could have taken the short, but you would have been risking a decent amount to come back in. You could have faded the extreme, thinking that maybe buyers aren't that strong, and you could have gotten a few points on the comeback in, especially in I period. Taking the short again after already setting the high of day, you take the short against the high of day. But at that point, buyers now have one time framing up as they began to set higher highs and higher lows, and they had the initial balance high. So slowly started to dwindle away at what the sellers had control early in the morning. So those things are that's why you have the checklist, right? So after E period, we began to one time frame up, and a lot of times when you have an afternoon rally high, you can be one time framing up and then roll over, or usually have a reversal bar if it is strong selling. But today it was not, and you gotta respect the short-term traders as they did push this thing to a new high of day before rolling over and then just consolidating and doing absolutely nothing for 2.5 hours. So we end up with today's high in H period, the day's low in C period, and then a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 wide point of control. It was almost 10, but H period didn't quite get to F's high. So let's go ahead and mark the day's high and the day's low, and then go into our larger time frames. If you made it this far, please leave a like down below. As you know, I get a little nerdy with it, bro. What can I say? Get a little nerdy. Alrighty. So there is our high of day. We now have to mark our non-wide point of control because that will act as a magnet. And now let's talk point of control real quick before we go any further. So point of control got moved up in H period, right? Or in I period. Initially, it was down here at C's high. So point of control is the widest point in the profile, or where we have the most amount of 30-minute time frames trading back and forth through the same price. So there are 13 time frames, and right here we had 5 of them trade back and forth between the 44, 20, 50 level. So 2050, we had 4 of them, 5 trade back and forth through here. So it acts as a magnet. It's a bit of a mean reversion, right? So you have the mean right here, and you're looking to come back into that. So that's why that afternoon rally high short sometimes works. So we were looking for it to revert back to here in G period, right? If we didn't take it out, to get 6 wide and create a larger point of control down here. But instead, we brought it up and created a wide point of control up here at 3470, or excuse me, 3450. So that's just where buyers and sellers were happy. We had 9 out of the 13 time frames trade back and forth through this 3450 level. So that's why we have a 9 wide point of control. And we'll mark it bright yellow. Boom, boom. And now we have today's low. We have no afternoon pullback low. I mean, you could reference F and E's low, but you know, at 19, considering their poor lows to each other, but I don't think it's anything to lean on, so I'm not going to mark it. We do have today's low in C period at 1050. Low of day 1050. Boom, boom. And now we have all of our reference points marked. So if we open up inside today's range, but below the 9 wide point of control and cannot take out today's low at 44.1050, and go get these other daily lows at 44.0725 and 43.8350, then this market will rotate back up to where we were trading happily at 44.3450, and then test our high of day. However, if we open up above the 9 wide point of control and cannot take out the day's high and fill the gap, we'll rotate back into where we're trading happily at 34.50 and test our low of day at 10.50, right? Does that make sense? So, and then if we take out the day's high, fill the gap, continue to move up higher, you'll look to come up to the afternoon rally high of 86.25, right? And then the high of day at 93.50. Now let's go ahead and look at our larger time frame. I know this is a longer video, but I think all these things are very important. I hope you guys, take that checklist into account. If you'd like to see a picture of that checklist, just leave a comment down below, and I'll try to give you guys a link to that checklist. So the monthly, now you can see here clearly, we've broken out of our monthly balance high on both the shorter or the initial and then the secondary extreme monthly balance high. Firmly one time framing up now. You are now targeting April's high of 45.8850 on a monthly standpoint. So one time framing up firmly on the monthly. Let's go ahead and look at our weekly time frame. Weekly, right now we have an inside week. We do have a premium gap. Do not forget about that gap. Just because it is a premium gap does not mean it won't get filled. At some point, it'll have to, as it is a form of poor structure. But we have hit our first target, and then we got near our second target of 45.09 after breaking out of our balance. We've been one time framing up 1, 2, 3 weeks in a row now. This week makes 4, even though it's an inside week, until we take out last week's low of 43.5125. We would have to take out last week's low and be going trend down on the daily to get that low in order for us to put the weekly into a balance and begin to consolidate. But you can see how we consolidated here, broke out, pushed up higher. Great opportunity there to get on the long side. So weekly, still very healthy, but we have an inside week. Now the question is, do we take out the last week's high and get that get the yearly high that's in the overnight session, and then push up into the 4,500 level, and then begin to attempt to find acceptance above that? Now let's go ahead and look at our daily. Now our daily has come back into a balance after we broke out of our balance that we had initially. It was a 2-day balance. It was a 2-day balance. We broke out of it. We were one time framing up 2 days in a row now. And then we've come back into a balance. So we're going to remark our balances. we're going to encompass this whole thing as one large balance and use the 14th low at 83.50 as our balance low. And then we're going to use the 16th high as our balance high up here at 93.50. Balance high, 93.50. So we are now in a balance. Nothing wrong to consolidate and find some type of, some type of acceptance of price within this range before kicking up higher. Now, sellers want to take us down and fill this poor structure or this premium gap down here. So in order to do such, we would need to begin to one time frame down by taking out the balance low and getting into that area. Now, buyers want to protect that that low down here at 83.50, bounce, test the high, and break up higher and continue to push up into the 4,500 level. So what do? We'll find out by the end of the week. Stay tuned as we'll be breaking it down, hopefully daily for you guys. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Thanks. See you.